There's a magic trick in American politics that gets used specifically on Black people. And I want to show you this magic trick.
Ready? You have the cameras rolling?
So in September of last year, the Trump administration announced a one-time $495 million funding boost for historically Black colleges and universities.
Just send your cash.
It states that this redirection of funds, which represent a 48.4% increase for HBCUs, is aimed at infrastructure-led equipment and student services. Very good. Our HBCUs absolutely need this. My son went to a HBCU.
Really?
The move has drawn praise for supporting Black institutions, but also criticism for cutting funds from Hispanic-serving institutions. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't care. We always get the short end of the stick. But I want you guys to stay with me because there's a magic trick here. Now, the backlash, the reallocation sparked criticism because it was funded by reducing support for other minority-serving institutions, particularly those serving large Hispanic populations. Now, the reason why I want you to pay close attention is because you may think that I'm taking the side of another demographic outside of my own. But no, I want to reveal something to you guys. Now, it's called the headline without the footnote, so to speak. The headline says that Trump gives $500 million to HBCU. So everybody's clapping good old Trump, even with all the craziness that's going on today. The footnote says that Howard University just lost $11 million in NSF grants, including $3 million earmarked for Black students in STEM. North Carolina A&T lost $24 million in federal research funding. And the $350 million that funded the boost cut directly from the grants keeping Hispanic-serving institutions, schools that are also educate millions of Black people, Latino, Asian, and Native students alive, okay? And buried in Trump's 2027 budget, stay with me, a 14.4 cut to Title III. The foundational federal pipeline that keeps HBCUs funded year after year. So on one hand, you see a boost to HBCUs by $500 million. Then you have initially all these different cuts and then redirection of money from HSIs. But then you also have a cut by 14.4% to Title III. Again, they try to make this very complex, but when you dive through it, it's very simple.
Okay.
Today, we're not celebrating the headline. We're reading every footnote because this is where the details lies. April 23rd of last year, Trump signs an executive order titled Promote Excellence and Innovation at Historically Black Colleges and Universities. A big ceremony, HBCU presidents on the lawn, cameras are rolling. He moved the White House initiative on HBCUs from the Education Department to the Executive Office of the President. September 15th of last year, the administration announced a $500 million funding boost to HBCUs and tribal colleges. The Black press runs the headlines, supporters shared everywhere. Everyone is applauding. Look at President Trump. He's doing great by the Blacks. But here's what happened in the days before the announcement. The Education Department cut $350 million from grants reserved specifically for minority-serving institutions, most of them Hispanic-serving institutions. I know, wait, before you cut it off. The stated reason, the grants were unconstitutional because they were race-based. I want you guys to think about that. They said race-based grants are unconstitutional, then gave race-based grants to HBCUs. The contradiction is not accidental. The contradiction is the strategy. See, again, I know a lot of us initially would jump on board. Well, good, we never get nothing. We're always the last in line. We always get the scraps, if any. But there's a bigger ploy.
What the hell was that all about?
Trump's $500 million boost to HBCUs is funded by cutting every other minority institution. This isn't a gift. This is a redistribution designed to set minority communities against each other while the administration takes a victory lap with our community flag. Now, I know there's no Black and Brown alliance. There's no Asian and Black alliance. There's really no alliance between minorities. But if we get into the numbers that didn't make the headline, then you will truly understand what I'm getting at here. Because Howard University, the nation's only research, #1 HBCU, lost more than $11 million in NSF grants terminated by this same administration, including a $3 million grant specifically designed to move Black and minority students into STEM. Now, that pipeline doesn't just help Black students, it builds the next generation of Black scientists, Black engineers, Black doctors, and Black researchers. North Carolina A&T University lost more than $24 million in federal grants in recent weeks. And the Chronicle of Higher Education ran a headline straight from the mouths of HBCU faculty members. This is our existence. Not this is concerning, not this raises questions. This is our existence. And then there's the 2027 budget, a 14.4 cut to Title III. Title III is a structural funding that flows to HBCUs for academic programs, student support, equipment, and endowment building. You don't fix a 14.4% Title III cut with a one-time $500 million check. You hollow out the institution from the foundation up. It takes millions of dollars to keep these organizations running, these HBCUs running each and every year. The NAACP said it on record. This executive order and the funding announcement are nothing more than smoke and mirrors meant to divert attention away from the severe funding cuts and the larger struggle against equity and racial justice that HBCUs face. Probably the most profound thing they said in the last 60 years. Let me address the people in the comments before they go crazy, okay? I know you're going to say, just go to a state school.
I'm done.
Because that argument only works if you don't know what HBCUs actually produce. HBCUs enroll about 10% of all Black college students, but produce approximately 22% of all Black bachelor's degrees. They produce 40% of Black engineers who go on to graduate programs. 3/4 of all Black military officers got their degrees from HBCUs. More than 80% of Black judges. These are not nostalgic institutions. These are the institutions that built the Black professional class in spite of a system designed to exclude us from every other option. Howard produced Thurgood Marshall. Spelman produced Alice Walker. Tuskegee produced the esteemed men who became the Tuskegee Airmen. When you cut NSF research grants at Howard, you're not trimming a budget line. You're cutting the next generation of Black scientists before they even begin. And when you do that while holding up a $500 million check for the cameras, that is not policy. This is theater, political theater.
What?
Here's a part of the story I want you to sit with. The $500 million that went to HBCUs was pulled from grants that supported Hispanic-serving institutions, schools that also educate enormous numbers of Black people, Latinos, Asians, and Natives as well. I'm not trying to state a kumbaya. I want you to stay with me because I'm exposing the trick bag here. And just like that, the administration created a wedge. The HBCU community looks like the beneficiary. The HSI community looks like the loser. Two communities that should be building political alignment are now in competition over scraps that the government cut from its own budget. And by the way, political alignment, it's a slight chance because, believe it or not, a lot of Hispanics voted Republican. That doesn't mean that we should be voting Democrat or we should kumbaya and vote Republican, but majority of Black Americans unfortunately vote Democrat over 85%. Majority of Hispanics have been voting Republican. This doesn't mean that we need to unify with a particular demographic and vote on the same voting block, but no, this is the smoke and mirrors that I'm about to get to because this is not accidental. Divide and conquer is the oldest move in the American political playbook when it comes to non-white community. They continue to pit us against ourselves for the meager resources they even allow us to have. They use it during Reconstruction, no less. They use it with the model minority myth. They are using it today with financial aid.
I'll tell you a secret.
Black Americans' political interest is not served by celebrating when other communities are cut to give us resources. Because just like that, they flip the narrative and they cut us to fund them. Our interest is served by demanding full, permanent, growing investment in all institutions that serve the working class without setting us up against each other to get there.
That call was perfect.
Let me be very specific. Restore and expand Title III funding. The 14.4% cut in the 2027 budget must be fought in every congressional district. Contacting our representatives, our senators, our state legislators. HBCUs cannot sustain themselves on photo ops. Demand reinstatement of terminated NSF grants at Howard, NCAT, and every HBCU that lost research funding. These are STEM pipeline grants. Cutting them damages the nation's scientific workforce, not just Black communities. Give directly to HBCU endowments. Federal funding can be cut overnight. Endowment money belongs to the institution. Howard's endowment has grown significantly through alumni and celebrities giving in recent years. That model needs to scale to every HBCU. Read the 2027 budget proposal yourself. You can go to usaspending.gov, education department documents. Don't wait for a headline to tell you what's happening to the institutions that built our professional class.
It doesn't seem safe.
We need to reject the trap of competing with other minorities for limited resources. The fight is not Black versus Hispanic. The fight is communities versus administration that believes our institutions are expendable. We should be laser focused on us. They want us to have this divergent within the so-called model minority community. The model minorities that they put upon a pedestal are usually the Asians and Hispanics. And now that they're giving to the Blacks, they're trying to pit these communities against each other. And on the surface, we're applauding, we're clapping. Trump gave HBCUs $500 million. But at the same time, cutting $22 million from NCAT, cutting $11 million from Howard, and then decreasing Title III by 14.4%, which initially hurts HBCUs in the first place. That's the magic trick. That is the smoke and mirrors. Let me crash my tank. When a politician hands you a headline and has the footnote, the headline is the policy. The $500 million check was not designed to fund HBCUs long term, in which they need this money long term. It was designed to make Black voters feel seen while the infrastructure that built Black excellence gets quiet and dismantled. This is our existence. The Chronicle headline should be plastered all over the wall of every HBCU alumni chapter in America right now. Not because HBCUs are dying, because the people running this government are better well celebrate the check and never read the receipt.
What?
If this video puts something in your hands you didn't have before, I want you to share it. Your HBCU alumni network needs this. Parents making tuition decisions need this. Black students choosing schools right now need this. Once you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, and tell me which HBCU you represent. Because on this platform, we don't perform, we diagnose, and we also give solutions. And this is why I created this website. I know I've been showing you guys the past couple of days. This is the reason why I provided this website, so people can register to vote and get all the information you need regarding that. Also, understanding legislation, understanding policy, understanding who your politicians are, even on a state level. That way, when you guys go out and vote, you're not only informed, you know who you're voting for, and you also know who you're voting against.